Do you guys remember this example we did last week where we created an abstract class? And then it was an incomplete class, so the children dog and the children cow, they completed the parent. And then we created objects of dog and objects of cow, and that pretty much was our last example. Today I want to go into interfaces with object-oriented programming. So let me create a project for today. Okay, everybody's ready? Do you guys remember why we created interfaces in Java or C#? Anybody remembers why we created interfaces in Java or C#?
Uh, if I remember right, it's like a completely abstract class you can do anything you want with.
True, everything in an interface is an abstract, so all the methods are incomplete, absolutely. But why would you create one?
So you can define it all later. Like you just set up the receptacle for it and then you define everything that's going to go in it after the fact.
But I mean, like, if I already have the choice of having abstract class, why would I want to go the interface route?
Isn't an interface used to specify a behavior that classes must implement?
That's what an abstract parent also does. So why should I go the interface route when I can do the same thing with abstract parent?
Is it because they're public?
Well, abstract parents can also be public.
I don't know if it's been said, but to hide or show like certain parts,
What do you mean?
like certain details of an object or whatnot.
That is encapsulation, right? That's not why we have interfaces.
Does it have to do with inheritance?
It is linked to inheritance, of course. But the question is, when I can have an abstract parent class, why do I need an interface? How many parents can a class has? How many parent classes can a class have?
I'm gonna go with one.
One. So we have a single level inheritance. We don't have multi-level inheritance. So we cannot have multiple parents. So if a class needs to inherit something else that is not in its parent, but needs it, and only that particular class needs it, the only way out would be to go the interface route. So for example, going back to the classical example of animal, if animal is an abstract class which forces all its children to implement certain behaviors, let's say an animal has a child called dog. And now dog has two further classifications. One is a working dog and one is a pet dog. Now, working dog needs to define work, and that must be forced on it. If I force it through dog, that will also force it on pet. I don't want to force it on pet. I only want to force it on the working dog. So the only way would that be that could be done is to create an interface outside of the dog and make the working dog not only inherit from dog, but also inherit from that interface. So that could be one situation where interfaces will be needed. Another situation where interfaces could be needed is if you want certain behaviors to be shared between classes that do not fall in any hierarchical order. They're coming from different places, but they all need those behaviors. And the only way to force that behavior would to have one generalized interface and let that interface force that on everybody. So interfaces are created in PHP with the word interface. Followed by the name of an interface and followed by the body of the interface and its methods. So I'm creating an interface called fruit property. The fruit property interface has one method called description. Now, if I have a class called mangoes and it implements fruit property, now it needs to implement the public function description. Similarly, I can create another class called kiwi with the same fruit property and just change the description. So just like I can have mango object, I can have the kiwi object. Everybody got this?
Yeah.
Christina and Tristan still working on it?
So granted, this is a basic example, but if you've got to basically redefine the interface inside the class itself, what's the point? I know we can have multiple inheritances, but at this point, you're basically writing the class, the interface anyways.
Right. Remember, PHP is not a very true object-oriented language. The only place where you could see that is, if you remember last week, as we started working with some examples. Let me see which example it is. This one. Remember this? So if you create an interface in an outside class, you can then write this line to require once, means you can include everything, like all the code from another example in here.
Okay, but isn't that what the point of writing person.php was anyways? Because that's just a class that we're including.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If you have a separate place, like you have a separate repository of interfaces, that's how you can include those repository in your classes. But, or maybe I didn't catch your question. Go ahead. Can you repeat your question?
Well, like I said, I'm just looking at this and we've got interface fruit property with the description, but then inside the classes, we're basically just defining the function anyways. Like I said, I get this is a simple
Right,
example, but
right,
just the
but-
way we're looking at it.
Right. The thing is this, that in the presence of an interface, you can force a certain behavior on the class, which you can't if the interface was not defined. If the class implements an interface and doesn't write the property, then it errors out. So this interface is just a way for you to force certain behaviors on the children classes.
So I suppose the better way of phrasing this would be, can you influence an interface when you call it? So we've got like mega one description. Could you put in the description, could you put the description there when you call it instead of writing it in the class?
Right, exactly. So that basically all you will do is you go to line number 3, you add a parameter, and then you pass that parameter.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot more
Yeah.
functional usage than
Right.
this.
Yeah, and again, this is step number 1 of the example.
Yeah, like I said, I get that we've got what, 4 hours of class left.
Okay, so everybody's done with this one. Okay, so now let's create a new PHP file, which we will call PHP interface 2. I want to create an interface called shape 2D. Then it is possible for you to have an interface inherit from another interface. You can have inheritance or hierarchy within the interface. So if I create an interface called shape 3D, extends shape 2D, first, let me pass a parameter. Oh, sorry, implements. Not extends, implements. So now when I hover over on cube and I clicked on add unimplemented methods, it did add the two methods that are coming from shape 2D through shape 3D into the cube. But in order for me to take care of this error, I have to also include the height functionality. Oh, sorry, not height. Oh, my bad. You know, width. That's what I made. That's where I made the error. Should have. I had the height twice. That's why it only included it once. Now I'm going to include all three of them.
I was gonna say, put this, like this, in front of the
Oh,
W. Like, yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
you also have to put in the function, the area
Oh.
function, which is quite annoying as well.
Here we go. Thank you. You know, did everybody get this one? Thomas and Cameron are working on it. Can you guys create a form that will submit to this page? And the form will feed the values of W, L, and H. So
Are you asking
create,
us to make the form or are you asking us, can it be done?
no, yeah, I want you to create an HTML form to call this PHP page and submit values of width, length, and height. Then use those values to calculate area. Okay. Now that everybody is done with this one, I made some changes. I should have called it volume. I don't know why I called it area. I was a little too tired, maybe. Let's copy this whole class. Cube implements shape 3D. And we're going to paste it right below. We're going to call this one, instead of cube,
I think your screen share froze.
oh, is it?
There we go.
Okay. So I copy pasted the cube as another, I mean, like just copy pasted, and I'm changing the name to tri-prism, implementing shape 3D, just changing the volume formula. Dividing it by 2. So we are implementing the same interface in multiple classes. And now I want you, after that, to code an object of tri-prism type, call its widths, and display its volume. Okay, everybody got this? Did you create one more object and tested it?
Yeah, sorry.
Did we dealt with static methods last week?
I think we touched on them. Let me check. No, we did the magic functions.
Oh, okay.
Magic method.
Okay, so let's try to create our next PHP file. Shouldn't have to do this. Okay. So since I do not want this variable to keep changing its values for every instance, rather I want its value to be fixed for all instances. Therefore, I'm declaring a static property. And then I'm using that static property on line number 6. So static properties are fixed for all objects of the class. And in order for you to call the static properties, you may have to write the company name, sorry, the class name, and then you call the static function, just like that. So let me run this. And you should see the output.
I am getting a fatal error and I can't find any differences between your code and mine.
Can you share your screen?
Sort of.
Oh, on line number 4, you're missing the word static. Change the var to public space static.
Okay. Okay, yeah, it was telling me I had an error in the function and I couldn't find anything.
Okay, let's create another public static function called greet echo. Welcome to my app. Do you guys remember how to create a constructor?
2 underscores, then constructor.
So whenever I create an instance of company type, I will call the constructor, and the constructor basically automatically calls greet. So I'm creating another class called sister company. And if I want to utilize an existing method of a different class, I can simply type the class name and the method. Okay. I forgot to do a VR. Got it? Everybody tested this? Okay. Now let's move on to our next example here. PHP static methods 2. Now I want to use static methods between the parent-child classes. Let me create a class called domain, in which I'll have a protected static function called get website name. So that will be my parent class. Now let me create another class called domain GTC extends domain. So what we did here is in the child class, inside the constructor, we call the method in the parent to return a value, which we assign to the property of the local class object. Okay. Next, we will create a class PHP class constants. So you can use the self to tap into the class constants. How do you do exponents in PHP?
Isn't it the 2 stars, 2 asterisks?
Okay, are we done?
Sorry.
Did we override methods last week?
I believe at least one example.
I mean, like, did we override the built-in methods?
Overwrite them? No.
No. So we didn't override the toString method.
No, we
Oh,
didn't.
Yeah, we
those.
did.
Yeah, we did the
Yeah.
magic functions. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought you meant like the other stuff that the what is it? The language library.
Oh, no. Okay. In our next example, let's try to learn about PHP serialize function. You guys might have learned about serialization in other programming languages as well. Serialization is a process of converting your object into a string. So to make this happen, we're going to create a class called customer. Okay, done with this one. Now create a new PHP file called democustomer.php. This is where we will import the PHP serialize.php. We'll create an object of customer type, and we'll pass the required parameters. Let's say 102. Carl at 45t.com. String equals to serialize the customer object and then variable dump the string. So when you are done with this example, go ahead and run this as, and you should now be able to see that the entire object got converted into a string. Okay, Thomas and Tristan, did you guys also get this?
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
it. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let's take a break here till 7:40. And then when we come back at 7:40, then we're gonna look at some more examples. May not be about inheritance. We'll probably move on to jQuery, Ajax, and PHP. We're gonna look into that stuff then. Okay, so I'll see you guys at 7:40. Hi, guys, welcome back. I'm sharing with you guys in the chat a piece of code that you will use in the next few examples. I mean, like, at least you'll have the top parts. You wouldn't have to code that part. And these are, we'll be working with some HTML files. This is not a PHP page.
And jQuery, it seems.
Yes, yes. So what you pretty much you will need is that script line, which you will put right here. It's an Ajax page or site that pretty much includes that jQuery library for you so that you can work with the jQuery. So in your script, when you start writing the jQuery, it will understand that. jQuery has some built-in objects, even though it's based on JavaScript, it has its own way of doing things. For example, when jQuery refers to the document, it has an object called document that it refers to. Then if you want your document jQuery to run only when the document loads in the memory, you can just simply write a ready method for that purpose. So here we are creating a function on the fly that when the document loads, we want this function to run. All we want this function to do is to work with dynamic HTML. However, in order for it to work with the dynamic HTML, we need to have some HTML objects, such as a button. So we want to work with these HTML objects. So what we want to do is that when the button object gets clicked, we want to call the function which will take my division object and animate it. This all it does, when you click on it, your box travels to the right. Okay. Let me clear the feedbacks. So whenever you guys are done, give me a feedback. Only two people are done. Any issues? The rest of you are having, is anybody having any errors? Tristan and Thomas are still, Thomas is still working on it.
Yeah, sorry that took so long, but my setup means I can't run Zoom and Eclipse in the same environment, so I had to type out the whole script section.
Oh, okay. Thomas, how about you?
Yeah, I'm just slow.
Oh, you're still coding. Okay. Okay. I thought you had an error or something. You can't be slower than me.
You say that. All right, we're good.
Okay, cool. Now let's save this one as number 2. And instead of just animating one property, we will try to animate multiple properties. Let me make this 180. So I wanted to move it to the left, have some opacity, increase the height, increase its width. Leave the rest of the properties the same. And simply when you run this, you simply click on the button for it to grow in size and go a little bit lighter because of the opacity. And as it's growing, it's going to the left. I mean, like it's going away from the left, 250 pixels away from the left. Okay, give me feedback when you guys are done with this one. Okay, everybody got this one? Oh, Thomas, you still coding this one or you forgot to hit the check?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot.
Oh. Now let's save this one as number 3. And in the number 3, let's get rid of the opacity. And what I want to do is I want this to increment by 180 on every click. So that's what I'm doing a plus equals to. So get rid of opacity, add the plus equals to. And now when you click on each click, it grows, 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 and then it takes over. Ah. Okay. Let's save this one as number 4. And in the number 4, we'll get rid of all the properties except for height. And instead of hard coding it, we're going to just replace it with the word toggle. So now when you click on it, and every click it hides, comes back. It just toggles back and forth between hide and show. Then save it as number 5. In number 5, we will have several different animations, one step at a time. So first, I want my division to animate by gaining some height. And I want this animation to be slow. Then I want its width to increase. Then I want its height to decrease. Then its width to decrease. So it grows in height, then grows in width, and then shrinks in height, and then shrinks in width. So it goes back to its original size. Give me a feedback when you are done. Still coding, Christina and Tristan? Okay. Now let's save it as number 6. And now we will animate such that we want it to go left 100 pixels. And let me increase the font size. Three times its current size. And let me write some text in the check division. Oops. Let me see if this works better in a regular browser, because in this browser it's just doing horrible. It just gives a trail of movement. Not a good idea.
I think this browser is just IE, so
Yeah,
don't expect it to be good.
right. You're absolutely right.
And doesn't seem much different in Chrome.
For me, it didn't leave any trails. In IE, it was leaving some dots initially. See those dots? Chrome didn't do that for me.
Okay, I wasn't getting that showing up the first time. That's why I'm not seeing it.
Okay, that's fine then.
That's why I'm not seeing a difference.
Okay, so let's save this one as number 7. In number 7, let's give this button some form of an identification. Let's say stop. I'm going to give it the text called stop sliding. And we'll create 2 divisions and give each one of them an ID as well. One of them I'm giving an ID of flip. The other one I'm giving an ID of panel with some text. When the button is clicked, I want my division called, known by the ID of panel. My button is stop, so I'm going to use the button ID stop. Okay. So when the button ID stop is clicked, then I want my panel, my division by the ID of panel to stop animating. And when ID called flip, even though it's not a button, you can still make it clickable. When that is clicked, I want my panel to slide down in 5 seconds. So that's 5,000 is 5 milliseconds. So if I click, 1 second. Hmm. Oh, my bad. I, 1 second. You know what? Let me do this. Hold on a second, guys. Let me test this. Here we go.
What did you change?
I just added the CSS property, and by default, I hid that item. So initially, I'm hiding it, and then upon clicking, I'm making it slide.
All right, there we go. Thank you.
So basically, when you click on this, it starts sliding. And while it is sliding, if you click on stop sliding, it's to stop sliding wherever you click on it. Give me a green check when you guys are done. Okay. So now let's save this one as number 8. And for number 8, let me get rid of the style. Now what we will learn is that how you can change the CSS property through the jQuery. So we are saying that for the paragraph 1, I want the CSS property color to be changed. So when you now run this program and you click on the button, you will see that the text color will change to red color. So that should be your output after you click. So what this change will do is that when you click on the button now, it will slide up in 2 seconds and then will slide down in 2 seconds. So Cameron, Christian, and Thomas. Christian is still working on it? Oh,
Nope, I just wrote it.
okay. Now let's save this example as number 9. And make the following changes to your paragraph and the button. So your paragraph now has an anchor tag, and the anchor tag is tied to a website out there called bing.com. It has an ID called LNK. It's a lowercase L. And the search engine is the text. What we want to do in this example is that when you click on the button, we want the URL to be changed. Okay. So when you click on the button, we want link LNK is the ID of the href. We want its attribute attr href attribute to now say, oh, not gtc.edu, google.com.
I think it froze again.
Yeah, your screen's not sharing.
Oops. Oh, it was not sharing all
There
the
we
way
are.
through. Oh. So when I click on this, let me test this, and yep, it's going to Google now. So when you click the button, then click the link, it should, instead of bing.com, it should take you to google.com. Okay. So let me save it as then. Number 10. And what we want to do in number 10 is we want to add something to an existing URL. So we're going to expand on that. So let's say if our existing URL is gtc.edu, and we're going to call this one gateway. Okay. So what we want to do is when somebody click on it, We want the attribute href, instead of hard coding to this value, we want to append to this value. So I'm creating a function on the fly. It's an unnamed function with a body. This function is receiving 2 arguments. And the argument number 2 is the actual value right now, whatever it is right now, okay? So what I want to return is the original value, whatever the current value is, to which I want to append the program's study. So what will happen is when you click on the button and then you click on the link, instead of taking you to the Gateway's homepage, it will take you to the Gateway's, from the homepage, it will take you to the program study subpage, because it will append that to the existing URL. Well,
Did you know that you have to type variable names correctly if you want to change the variable?
in the meanwhile, let me ask you guys a question. It's not related to PHP though.
Yo, I saw this on TikTok. So
You're-
I know the answer.
You know the answer, you shouldn't say it.
I'm just getting 13 into 28 vibes here.
As an output,
It's an Abbott and Costello skit.
1328.
It has to do with 7, 13, and 28. And the guy's like, if you can prove that, I'll give you the rent free. And the guy proceeds to do like several forms of math incorrectly and end up with the same answer every time.
Yeah, you can do that with math, right? If a person doesn't know that you're goofing it, yep. So anybody has the answer to this one? What's the answer, James? Say it.
I don't know.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, that's the correct answer. Okay. Uh, let's look at the other correct answer.
The only thing I can see is like what is 4 letters. But
That's it.
it's the only thing. Okay.
What? And I don't know.
Ah.
Okay.
I don't remember what the thing was, but I know I know a joke that's another like something is X letters and that something is X letters, but I don't remember what it is.
So James, you got it. At least one of them. And Christian, you got the other one. It's funny when people are answering, what? Yeah, exactly. uh, anyway, so let's save this one as number 11. Let's see how jQuery can do the document object model, DOM. I will give you some stuff in the chat that you can put inside, replacing the paragraph and the button. Okay, so you'll just put it in place of the paragraph and button. These 5 divisions, where 2 have a class called X and a heading. And in the document ready function, we don't have any buttons. So we'll be playing around with some divisions here. Now, the DOM part is that we'll be able to traverse through these divisions. So I can say, out of all the divisions, I want the first division to have the following properties. You know, I can literally go to saying the first of all. Similarly, I can say that I want the last division to be light blue. Okay. I want first division to be yellow. I want the last division to be light blue. Go ahead and run this much, and then I'm going to add some more. So now the third one is green because I said when division equals 2, the first one is 0. So that's why when I say when division equals 2, change it to light green. Okay, now let's work with the divisions that are X. So I can say division dot filter X. No, it should be period X because it's a class name. Dot CSS. So all the X ones will be bold. And instead of filter, I can say, I want all the not X ones to have a letter spacing of 4. So all the divisions that are not X class will be a little bit more spread out. Again, give me a feedback when you guys are done with this one, then we'll move on to the next one. So Christina and Ronan and Tristan. Christina and Tristan, are you still coding? Christina's okay. Maybe Tristan is still coding. Oh, got it. Okay. Now save this one as number 12. Get rid of everything in the function and get rid of all these HTML tags. I'm giving you some new HTML tags that you can copy paste here. Okay. And look at the hierarchy of how these are built. We have a division at the top. It is identified by the class name ancestors. Then it has a UL, which has a child called LI. Okay. And then I've given you some text like UL grandparent and LI direct parent and so on and so forth. LI has a child called span. Then UL has a sibling called another division with the width of 500, which has another child called paragraph, which has a child called span. So the outer division has 2 kids, and each kid has 2 kids. Sorry, 1 kid and 1 grandkid. Before we make any change, can you please run this one the way it is right now? So that you can see what the output looks like right now. You have a UL, you have an LI, then you have a span text in the same line as LI, even though it's a child of LI. And then we have a division called grandparent. And then we have a paragraph called direct parent followed by a span text. Now in the head portion, I want to create a style sheet. I want to write it for all the children of ancestors. That's why I use an asterisk. And after you're done coding 8 and 9, 8 and 9, you will see that each one of the child appears as a block of its own with its own borders. The border color is gray, light gray, with its own padding and margin. So the output looks pretty neat like this one. That's how the output will change or transform. Next, what I want to do is I want my document.ready function to first of all locate span. Within the span, I want it to locate its parent. And I want to change the property of the parent. So once you run this one, you will see that each of the span's parent turns red. It doesn't affect the span, but affect its parent. So this should be your output, that each of the span's parent turns to red. That's what it does. That the parent of each of the spans, its color turns red, border, same size border, but the color is red. I'll be right back in a minute. In the meanwhile, those of you who are not done yet can catch up and give me a green check. Okay, except for Josh, everybody's done, or probably Josh forgot to give the green check. So now, guys, what I would like you to do is right click on the project and create a new file. Just create a regular file. In the project, call this one data.txt, okay? And the data.txt, I want you to put this. What we will learn next is how you can load a text file in the jQuery page and use it as a content. So this probably makes you what you can say to some extent, JavaScript can now load data from external source. Is everybody done with this? Or still working on it? Okay. Christina and Tristan are still working on it. Okay, everybody's done. Okay, cool. Now let's go back to your JQE 12 and let's save it as JQE 13. Let's clean it up a little bit. Okay. And we will write some more different kind of CSS. So we're going to get rid of that for now. This is what you have left over. So what we want to do is in the HTML side, we want to have a button. And when somebody clicks on that button, it'll grab the data that you put in the data.txt and we'll put that in place of these ... in the division. That's what we're planning on doing. On button click. Okay. So on the button click, we got to do that. So I want my division to load data from data.txt. I made a mistake here. I put an extra parentheses here. I just got rid of that. After the .txt double quotes, I put an extra parentheses.
That's what it was. Okay. I couldn't find what was up.
So when you now click on the button, it will load the data from this text file into that division. Oh, I just want to make sure, is everybody done or people still working on it? Okay, so Mason, are you done as well? Okay. So save this as number 14. Come on. Get rid of everything inside the document function ready, and also get rid of both lines of HTML. Once you're done cleaning it up, I'm giving you some HTML code in the chat that needs to go down below like this. So what we want to do is we want to display in an HTML web page an HTML form with just one text box with whose ID will be my input, and its placeholder is search ... Placeholder is HTML5. If you click on it, as soon as you start typing, it will be replaced with whatever you typed. And as soon as you clear everything, the search ... will come back in. That's what placeholder does. If you look down below, I've given you a UL. The name of the UL or the ID of the UL is name list, and it has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 names, right? Let's run it to make sure how it looks like right now before we start incorporating the jQuery. Okay, that's how it looks like. What I want to do is this. I want to write my jQuery such that if I click here and if I start typing letter A, all the names will vanish that don't have A in them. You know, it will going to be like, if I type M, then only Amy will be left. So I'll be able to filter my result set based on what I type in my search box. So basically, I'm writing my event on my search box. What's the name of my search box?
My input.
My input, okay. And on is the event. On key up, I want to create a function. So I'm grabbing the value that the user puts in the input, and that's what the this represents. It's the same idea as we have in Java or C#. This refers to our PHP. This refers to the current object. The current object is my input. So whatever value is coming from my input, I'm converting it all to all lowercase. And whatever value I'll search for, I'm going to first convert the value to lowercase as well. So it's easier for me to search. Now what I want to do inside the function is that I want to use the document object model to get as far as li. Okay, so I will say that I want to start searching from somebody called name list, and I want you to locate its child called li. So I'm going from the parent and the child. Then I want to filter, and on my filter I'm going to apply the function. That's the next step. Now again, my current object I'm going to grab the text from what is my current object, the li, the text of the li. I'll convert it to all lowercase. As long as it is greater than -1, that means as long as the value is to be found in the list, it'll keep filtering. If the list doesn't have the value, then we're going to return -1. Now, let me test to make sure that I've not made any errors. I'm going to test it in a regular browser. Okay. Did I again use parentheses somewhere that I was not supposed to use?
Oh, your on key up has a period instead of a comma.
Oh,
In-
thank you.
Yeah.
Now let me refresh. There we go. Okay. So as soon as I type D, all the names that has the letter D anywhere are the leftovers. Put A, and now Dave is the only one left over. If I subtract, I keep getting the list back. So it's quite possible for me to combine the data.txt example and this one, where, for example, I have a code in Java or C# or PHP, whatever is my underlying language, that generates a text file on the server. And I give client this guy, where the bottom part is generated by PHP or whatever is the source. You know, I mean, like it just loads the data from a text file onto the page in this format. And then I can have my jQuery do the search. And it would appear to the user as if I'm interactively working with the database, but I'm not. I already generated the data through the text file, which I'm loading into the local computer through an external load in jQuery. Okay. Go ahead and add. I'll give you the 3 lines to add. And now I'm going to make one more change to it. But first add these 3 lines. And then save it as number 15. So that you don't lose this one while I make changes to it. This is number 15, where I have also added 2 buttons and a paragraph. Got it so far? Okay. Now what I would like you to do is introduce a division tag and ID it parent. And close this division tag after the paragraph. You know, so make everything as a child of division. The ULs and the 2 buttons and the paragraph, everybody will be the children of the division. Once you do that, scroll up to where you have line number 13. Right now you are searching by name list, right? So now make it search by parent and all children. Parent, all children with an asterisk. And now refresh Oh, sorry, not refresh, run number 15. And when you're running number 15, if you are searching for something, even the buttons will disappear if they don't meet the criteria, because you said all kinds of children, not limited to the UL anymore. So the reason we are building up on this jQuery thing, because then what we want to do is we want to integrate into Ajax. And then we want to use some PHP along with the Ajax. This works at the server level. So we're going to stop here today. And we're going to continue with the jQuery and the Ajax of the PHP in the next class. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Some
Thank
of you
you.
might have already worked with Ajax before, right?
I know I've heard of it, but I don't think I've worked with it.
No, you never?
That Ajax. No, I haven't worked with that Ajax either.
Okay, okay, just checking.
I've not worked with that Ajax either.
Well,
I've worked with what are they called? The
no, not this
the
one.
like the recent ES6 stuff.
Yeah, Ajax is
forget
basically
what
a
it's-
server-side technology. It's asynchronous JavaScript
Yeah.
and an XML combination. So it's kind of
It's whatever the thing where you can like make an HTTP request from JavaScript. That's what I've done.
cool. Yep.
All right.
Have you played with Jax in Mortal Kombat?